No, because I promise you, I'm the wrong one to ever play that I'm not going to text first game. I will literally never speak to you again in my entire life. Never.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll be talking about divorce, how the Republicans with Bill 732 want to change the rules of the game for women. We'll also look at how one woman claims women fare better in divorce, something that apparently no one noticed until now. We'll dive into the heartbreaking story of a man who reveals the true cost of divorce. Your support is super important to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Now, let's get started.
As someone who shares about their divorce online, I have thousands and thousands of comments and DMs from men and women who are either getting divorced or are post-divorce. And something that I think is really interesting as a pattern about the difference between men and women post-divorce is that while divorce sucks for everybody, generally, women come out of divorce and their lives are on an upswing. They're more fulfilled, they're happier, they're calmer, their homes are peaceful, they're doing things that are for them versus for someone else. And men, alternatively, go through divorce and have a much harder time. A much harder time finding fulfillment, finding satisfaction. Now, of course, these are like broad generalizations. I know there are many men who go through divorce and are happier post-divorce. But as far as their lives being easier, the trend, again, based on thousands and thousands of comments, DMs, and conversations, is that post-divorce life for women is a whole lot better than post-divorce life for men. And then you start to think, why is that? And while I know why that is for myself, I think the realization is that post-divorce, men realize how much work women were doing for them, how much thought went into making their lives easier. And once women are free from marriage and free from past their divorce, all that energy that they spend putting into supporting their man goes towards supporting themselves and making themselves fulfilled and doing things that make their own lives easier and happier and safer. So while, of course, there are wonderful men out there and there are men who come out of divorce and they are living that more fulfilled life, it's really, really hard for me to ignore that pattern.
Hey, bro. What? Oh my God!
If I were to take every man who is alone and finance 50% of his life so he could seek his happiness, I bet the vast majority, if not all, would be happy. The divorce rate in this country is around 80% initiated by women and 50% of marriages end in divorce. Divorces almost always happen on average after 7 to 8 years, which is the same average time it takes to pay off most mortgages in this country. Do you think that's a coincidence? Of course not. Many women can rebuild their lives because most leave a marriage without debts. The man, on the other hand, is left with half of his assets gone, having to pay child support, often needing to rent a new place, and in the worst cases, also paying alimony. How on earth are you supposed to get ahead like that? Think about how easy it is to lose 50% of everything, including your 401k and investments, and then have to live on 70% of what you earn. How easy do you think life is after that? Watch the next video, where a man clearly breaks this down. How much divorce cost him and how he sees life afterward.
Oh, how much did my divorce cost me? Well, this is a fantastic question. There's direct and there's indirect costs. Direct costs, I lost $106,000 out of my 401k retirement plan I spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half the equity in the home, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash, and savings that I also spent 20 years contributing to. I also lost half of all the non-liquid assets like furniture, household goods, electronics, cars. Keep in mind, I paid for all of these. And this is in addition to financially supporting her and her/our daughter for 17 years, which is many hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm now broke, live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and have a negative net worth for the first time since I was, 25. Indirect costs: my job, my sobriety, my self-worth, my masculinity, my hope for the future, my ability to trust women again, my belief in God, my pride, my motivation, my physical health. I don't know, let's just say everything.
Now, how do you think life will go after that? Marriage is a contract where only the woman benefits. A contract where every man who signs it knows he is gambling his entire future. It's a contract where one party is always favored, can walk away whenever they want, and still come out rewarded. Many men dream of building a home, and it's devastating when you give 20 years of your life and everything is taken from you. That's why I've always said, a man who gets back on his feet after a divorce deserves my respect. Most men don't have a support system. Many don't even have friends. For men, family doesn't come to the rescue. Many, when they're kicked out of their home, end up in rundown motels because there isn't a single person there for them. On top of that, they can't even take solace in spending time with their kids because they're taken away too. Why do you think so many turn to alcohol or other vices to numb their pain? Being a man is tough because we will never receive unconditional love that is reserved for women, children, and animals. If a man doesn't bring value, no one cares about him. That's why you should always focus on yourself. A man who becomes high value can choose his future, making decisions from a position of strength, not scarcity, whether to marry or not. And if you do marry, never do it without a prenuptial agreement. Thankfully, the laws are starting to change. Check out the new proposed legislation in the next video.
Well, it certainly didn't take long for bills impacting marriage, divorce, and annulment to start rolling in for the 2025 legislative session. So we have Texas coming in, which we know is, one of the most conservative states. One of their conservative lawmakers filed 2 bills regarding marriage, divorce, and annulment for the 2025 legislative session. This is from Lone Star Live. From that website, and it was published November 14th. So the latest, and I'm going to read it because I don't know all this stuff, but 2 pieces of legislation submitted. One is House Bill 732, which would repeal a section of the Texas Family Code that allows marriages to be annulled on the grounds of impotency. So currently it allows for an annulment specifically if either party was permanently impotent at the time of marriage, the other did not know their spouse was impotent, and they had not voluntarily cohabited since finding out. So if passed, House Bill 732 would apply only to marriage annulment requests filed on or before September 1st of 2025. So that is in process. The other bill in Texas is House Bill 931, which would make Texas one of 4 states that allow covenant marriage, and they have covenant marriage in quotes. That type of arrangement is tied to conservative Christianity and emphasizes marriage being for life, although divorce is still legally available. So some notable political figures that have entered into covenant marriages, we'll see if any of these names sound familiar to you. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson, and former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Advocates say it promotes traditional family values, which again is a phrase that was all over the original full text of the Project 2025 document, all 922 pages, and it encourages couples to solve marital problems.
If you're not willing to solve marital problems, then why did you marry that person in the first place? If your plan wasn't to spend your life with them, why get married to them at all? If that wasn't your objective, then what was it? Here's the thing. I've always believed that both men and women should be free to leave a relationship whenever they want. I don't see the logic in keeping someone by your side who doesn't want to be with you. However, I don't believe in rewarding someone for breaking a commitment. If you don't want to be with me anymore, that's fine. But with a divorce, you should give up 80% of everything, and the children should stay with the more capable and financially stable parent. It's that simple. If you want to leave, then leave. But don't touch what has been built over the years, the other spouse's stability, just to take a piece of it for yourself and start a new life with someone else, funded by your ex-husband. Of course, it's easy to find happiness that way. Let's continue.
So some critics say it makes it harder for people to flee abusive situations and represents a government endorsement of a specific form of religious, I trip over that word, specific forms of religious marriage. So under the proposed Texas state law, couples are legally required to complete at least 5 hours of premarital counseling from a clergy member or licensed marriage counselor before entering into a covenant marriage. So again, another tie back to the Project 2025 language was that there would be a lot of faith-based marital counseling and faith-based marital supports that would be focused on. So to divorce, both parties must agree to the split, as well as attend at least 5 hours of counseling from a clergy member or licensed counselor. So here's a caveat. Entering into a covenant marriage would be voluntary. And they could not be charged a fee for issuing a covenant marriage license under H. Bill 931. Non-covenant marriage participants still would be required to pay a fee unless the couple completed state-approved premarital education courses, which I would say the unspoken part there is faith-based. Again, this is from an article that was posted on LoneStarLive.com on November 14th. So very, very current. And it's already showing like legislation like this, these House bills, these things that are not necessarily stating the removal or retraction of no-fault divorce, which is a term you hear a lot. They're coming in, named a little bit different nuances and what's required, what's restricted, what's mandatory. But, you know, as with any good contract or House bill, it's all in the fine print. So it'll be interesting to see what other states decide to start introducing legislation that impacts marriage and divorce and requirements around both of those things going into the 2025 legislative session. Follow, comment. You know, I'm going to keep looking at things and we'll see what happens next.
Most men aren't opposed to divorce. When a man leaves a woman, especially if she's unbearable or unstable, something we often see in many women today, he usually leaves with nothing. He's often financially devastated, yes, but at least he gets rid of the stress of that woman and the hellish life they shared, which is worth a lot. But it's not the same for women. She'll claim you're an abuser, that you've hurt her deeply, that you've caused her trauma. Yet, when she leaves, she wants you to go, while keeping everything that's yours. She wants most of the money, the house, the kids, alimony, part of your retirement, and the cars. But you're the abuser, you're the bad guy. Still, no matter how bad you supposedly are, your money is good enough for her. She knows her, I deserve to be happy, depends on how much money she can take from you to start her new life with another man. This is where men disagree. If she wants to leave, fine, she can leave, but she should go as she came. If she worked and contributed, she takes what she brought, plain and simple. But to her, that's an unfair deal. When she's leaving just because she got bored, or like in 43% of divorces initiated by women at 50, when the man is about to retire. Yet, somehow, we men are always the abusers.
I went to divorce court today. I was very nervous, but I did well because I didn't have to talk. I only sat there. My attorney spoke for me. My soon-to-be ex-husband didn't look so well. Doesn't look well at all compared to what he normally looks. This court date was not supposed to have happened. Technically, it shouldn't have had to have happened because we should have been able to figure everything out in mediation, which was scheduled for the end of October, of which we had to cancel because he has yet to provide any financial documents. Any. He just simply doesn't provide anything. The judge got after him and told him that he needs to step up and provide financial documents. He tried to claim, well, because I'm not having an attorney, then I just didn't know. You know, he's smart. You also are literally sleeping with an attorney, mister. Come on. We're not that dumb. Unbelievable. He can play dumb all he wants, but we see through him. Note to self, don't mess around with the judicial system. If you want out of your marriage, you can do it in so many better ways than what my soon-to-be ex-husband is doing.
Oh, hell no!
This man doesn't want to present his financial documents because he knows he'll go bankrupt in that court, and she knows it too. I want you to see how a woman thinks. When a man divorces and has kids, he almost always tries to make sure his kids are comfortable, even with the woman who takes everything from him. But the woman destroys the man's finances, often compromising part of the children's future in the process. A broke man can't help anyone, but that doesn't matter as long as her account stays full. That's why you hear kids later say, "We had everything, but my parents' divorce left us bankrupt." That's when you realize how short-sighted many women are when they destroy a man. This is the face of happiness of a woman who knows she's about to ruin a man in court. But I must admit, she's right about one thing. Never go before a judge without a lawyer. Only 10% of men in this country have managed to get a favorable divorce settlement. 90% of men fare poorly, and if you go without a lawyer, it's likely to be even worse. With a good lawyer, at least you'll come out in better shape. Never go to war unarmed, brothers.
Honey, this is your sign to break up with him. No. No. I don't want to hear but this, but that. I love him. No, the fuck you don't. He treats you like shit. And we both know it, honey. And you know what? You need to treat yourself way better. And you're not treating yourself better by staying with a man with a god complex who probably is not even cute.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how a woman gets upset when she sees her ex-partner years later, now married with kids. She comes up with an elaborate plan to break up his marriage because she claims to be better than his current wife. She feels she doesn't owe anyone anything and wants him no matter what. Your support is super important to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Let's get started.
How much money is in your guys' bank account?
I got like 500 right now.
Really?
I'm trying to work as much as I can. It's just hard.
I got about like 80K-ish around there.
Where are you getting that money from?
It's like I've been saving and,
Saving? What do you mean saving? You work like 2 days a week. You wouldn't make that much.
Unlike you don't save your money.
Because I spend it all on you.
And that's why I get to save.
Whether you're saving or not, even over your entire life, you're not getting that much money. Do you not want to like go further in our relationship? Does that not matter to you? Like,
It matters, but I'm not going to spend my money to do it.
so you don't care about spending any of your money on me?
No.
Like I bought you,
No,
like
I'm
during
not gonna spend
Valentine's
my-
Day, I bought you like
Okay, yeah,
10
thanks.
things.
You should spend your money on me.
Why
honey.
doesn't it reciprocate though?
Because it doesn't.
This is wild. I can't believe this. I treat you for everything. You just don't care. This is crazy.
Sorry.
Can pay for everything?
It's that simple. He's the man. He should pay. I'm going to save my own money.
This type of woman marries you, divorces you, and then you realize she's always had a separate bank account with more money than you. And no matter how tough things got, she never lent you a hand. Plus, what kind of job does she have to save up so much money? Man, she's playing you. You're just this woman's simp. She works 2 days a week and magically has $80,000 saved up. Funny, because the math doesn't add up. Brother, open your eyes. Women who act like this don't love you. They use you. They hoard their money while draining your account because they know you'll fall into the role of the provider without questioning anything. Why do they do it? Because they know how to play the social expectations game, where you pay because you're the man. But a woman who truly respects and values you won't let all the weight fall on you. Learn to distinguish between a partner and an opportunist. One invests with you. The other just waits to see you fall while she counts her money. Remember, a woman who wants to build a life project with you helps you become the best version of yourself. She rows with you in the same direction. This one clearly just sees you as another step on her way to her destination.
Hey, there's Dusty with a spicy story for you. Oh, almost forgot to hit the button. It's spicy! Got a real ghost pepper of a story here for you. This story is titled, I've Done Everything I Can to Break Up My Ex's Marriage. I probably sound like an asshole, but I don't even care. I was with my ex for a year and he broke up with me. 3 months later, he started going out with some other girl, and now 3 years since, they're married with a kid. I have no clue what he sees in her, like she's not his usual type. She's a bit chubby, if anything. She worked a mediocre job, and I could say some more things. In short, he can do so much better than her. Wow. OP's special. I've been wanting to talk to him for so long, and I saw them at a restaurant, and I took my chance and just went over to their table. Immediately, he told me that she's his wife and told me to leave them alone. I thought that after being together for a year and having no contact for so long, he would at least want to have a small conversation with me. Bish Delulu, Delulu. Him denying me that made me really angry, and I ended up telling his wife that she's nothing like his usual type and she should watch out before I left, and she was clearly emotional at hearing that. After that, I was determined to get closer to him, and I applied and got a job in the same division of the company he works at, but on a different team and one level lower, so I've seen him around the office a few times and tried to interact with him a little, and all it got me was a meeting with HR. I got a membership at the gym he goes to and figured out what time he goes each day, and I've been showing up at the same time and trying to make conversation there, and still nothing. You're stalking him! She says all of these things like it's perfectly normal. She says all these things like, yeah. Of course he wants to talk to me. I guess most stalkers have to be delusional, right? Like being delusional is a prerequisite for being a stalker, I would think.
Damn! Here we have a woman with a delusional ego. I've always said that women have bigger egos than men. When they see another woman happy with the man they once had, it fills them with envy, especially if they're still single. After all, a woman's worst enemy is another woman. This woman is still hurt that he left her, that he never came back for her. Seeing him now, likely more accomplished, better off, with a stable family life alongside this new woman, of course, makes her envious. She's looking at the life she could have had but didn't know how to keep. She seems like the typical woman who thinks that just because she looks good, a man should always be at her feet. Seeing that he left her for a woman who's less attractive than her but knows how to care for her man drives her crazy. And then there's all this harassment she's directing at this man. If it were a man doing this to a woman, he'd already be in jail. Ironic, isn't it? But let's continue.
I've told, what do you mean not necessarily? Says someone like they have experience. Not me looking at the past trying to figure out what happened in the years before we got together. Candy gets what she wants. I've told him that he can do better and I want us to give our relationship another shot, and when he pretends that I'm not even there, I'll just leave to avoid the embarrassment. I feel a little bad since his wife really comes off as a really shy and sweet person who loves him, but I really want to get him back and I don't owe her anything at the gist of it. I'm blocked on all social media and I tried reaching out through a burner phone number app and no response to that either. It feels like I don't even exist to him. At the very least, he could give me one conversation. I mean, just a few years ago, he was in love with me. There is quite literally nothing his wife has that I don't, and I know I would be an amazing partner to him if he would just give me a chance. I'm so frustrated right now, I can't even process this. I just want to talk to somebody about this, but I have no one who won't just cut me off if I do. That's the end of the story. They have kids, right? He's married. They have children. That escalates the danger level of this whole thing, does it not? Because if she wants him bad enough to herself, where is she willing to stop? Where is she willing to stop? She just wants one conversation. Yeah, the world needs an RO against you, OP. The world. Hey, Brett Maples, member for 13 gosh heckin' months, says his wife has one thing you don't, and that's him. 100%. 100. I'm not going to tell. Yes, I am going to tell you. I saw all these comments that were like, she has him. And it didn't hit me until I read your comment, Brett, that's what that meant. I was like, she has him, like, OP has him in a basement or something? Like, y'all think that she's already taken him and now she's writing this post? I took it a way different way than I think you all meant it. She has him. Yes, it's something that she doesn't have. But in her mind, like, she still does. They're on a break in her mind, right? And now she's like, okay, quit playing. It's time to come back. That's not okay. It's 100% not okay. What's up, Tater?
That's her comment.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We have her.
There's just 3 of them.
We have her comments to read back here.
Gives you more.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
Exactly. She has something you don't. Women don't understand that men mature. Unlike her, a man can put up with bad treatment from some women in his youth, but when he's building his life and reaches a point of stability, He wants a woman who brings him peace. Let me be clear. There's nothing better in life than being with a partner who sees you as the prize. That's why I tell men, if a woman doesn't see you as the best option she can get, she won't love or value you. Just like this ex-girlfriend didn't. It's not about physical appearance or having a mediocre job, as you claim. The real issue here is your ego and your inability to accept that you've been left behind. What you're doing isn't just toxic, it's pathetic. Do you honestly think showing up at his restaurant or following him to his gym will make him realize how amazing you are? Spoiler, it won't. All you're doing is reinforcing the reasons why he chose someone else. Your actions aren't love, they're harassment. Complaining that his wife is shy and sweet only makes it clear that your real issue is envy and jealousy toward her. Don't get it twisted, you're not fighting for him. You're trying to feed your wounded ego. He didn't block you because he's uninterested. He blocked you because he's tired of you.
He already reported me to HR, so I stopped approaching him at work. She definitely does not have a better body than me, I promise you. I know I'm horrible, but after everything, am I not least owed a single conversation to plead my case and tell him how I still feel? I know it's ridiculous, but I truly want him to be mine again. I know what I bring to the table, and it's a lot more than his wife does. I'm struggling with the fact that he can't even give me a conversation. I mean, I will give her this. She is persistent. Yes, she is determined. This is like Pat Mahomes when they're down with 2 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He's like, it's mine. We win. And it happens. Like, how far is she willing to go? That's the question here, because yes, his wife is in danger. Their kids are in danger. She has the absolute delusion. Her reality is that they are destined to be together. And the only thing in the way is his shitty wife and his shitty kids. She didn't mention the kids except that he has them in here, but I guarantee you this has entered her mind. Could they be together and those kids become hers? I don't know that she likes to share. I don't see that happening. This is look, when somebody enters into a relationship with someone else, they have made their choice. When they got engaged, they cemented that choice. Whenever they got married, the choice isn't going to change. The only thing you're going to get yourself is a conversation with a judge. That's it. This is dangerous. This is delusional. This is not okay. If somebody chooses not to be with you, they've chosen not to be with you. They haven't done that to dare you to try harder. They've chosen another human being. And I can't imagine why this relationship fell apart. What was she like when they were together? If you had to guess, what would you guess for her age? Sound off. Lurkers, you too, sound off. If you had to guess what her age was, what would you guess? This is like a delusion where, you know, like as a young adult, you enter the world, especially like a young adult leaving college. Like what kid doesn't graduate college or high school and think, all right, I'm going to go kick this world's ass now. Give me 1 year, I'll be a millionaire. Put that Ferrari on hold for me. Like, you just enter the world with all this brazen confidence, right? And you got to go a little ways before it kicks you in the balls, and then you grow from it. This world hasn't kicked her in the balls yet. Or the silicones. Whatever. She hasn't been gut checked by life yet to get an adjusted worldview where she comes from. You know what? This could easily be like the daughter in the last story if dad doesn't get like the full-blown spoiling under control and like not teach her. It's just the world is mine. I get what I want. I want him, and he's married to some other bitch. I know what I must do. Everything.
Stop it. Get some help.
And then they say men are the hunters. Women have always been the real hunters. What this woman is doing happens to many high-value men with stable marriages. Women like this shamelessly throw themselves at these men. This is why solidarity among women doesn't exist. She sees that he has a family and children, and she doesn't care. She wants him for herself. This isn't love. It's a desperate attempt to control a man who clearly wants nothing to do with her. And the most unbelievable part is her twisted logic. She still thinks he owes her a conversation. No, sweetheart. When someone blocks you on every platform and avoids all contact, the message is clear. You're not part of his life. And the only conversation you deserve is with a judge issuing a restraining order. And then there's her arrogance. She claims she has more to offer than the current wife. Really? If you were as amazing as you think, he wouldn't have left you, let alone built a family with another woman. This man chose someone who brings him peace, not chaos. But you, in your delusion, keep acting like the world owes you something. The truth is, you can't stand not being the center of his universe. He found something with her that he never had with you. Someone who isn't toxic or controlling. And for you, the wall awaits, because the wall doesn't forgive.
Here is my experience with age gap relationships. When I was 16, I started dating a 20-year-old. I was like, oh my God, like I got myself like a mature ass man. Like he's a man. He was a pedophile. I had myself a pedophile. This relationship was so fucked up. I haven't talked about it on here. Honestly, I didn't want to. The reason I am talking about it is because if there's a girl that was like 16-year-old me out there that was in the same position, maybe this story can help her get the fuck out. But I was a junior in high school and he was old as shit. But when I was 16, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, I got myself a man. Like, I got, like, he's mature. He's like, oh, he thinks like he's a man. Oh, he was a fucking loser. This man lied to me about being in college. When I was 16 years old, this is my first boyfriend, first, like, basically everything ever. I think he's my knight in shining fucking armor. Like, I think the heavens above sent him to me, and I'm like, my man, my man, my man. But in reality, it was fucked up. Not only just fucked up because of what actually happened during the relationship, it was illegal. I was 16 at the time. I think knowing all those things at 16 years old was like, ooh, this makes it like fun and risky. I'm letting you know right now, you're gonna look back and be like, what the fuck? Because that's what I did. When there's an age gap like that, specifically when you're talking about teens and 20-year-olds, there's a huge power dynamic. Like normally the older person is in charge of the entire relationship because they'll use the line like, well, I'm older. I've been through a relationship before. You're new to this, like all those things. But the power dynamic is so dangerous because they use that to get whatever the fuck they want. And especially it being my first relationship, he would use things against me like, no one's ever gonna love you the way I will. I'm like, bitch, you really barely even fucking love me. When you're 16 years old and you have someone who you think has lived a life, you're going to believe everything they say. This relationship became so toxic that at 17 years old, he moved in with me. I literally became this kid's mother. He moved in with me because his mom was gonna make him pay rent, and he was like, well, I can't afford rent. And at that time, I'm like, oh my God, she's so cruel for that. That's fucking reality, bitch. Like, that's growing up. Like, you gotta pay your own rent. So I was 17 years old. I was working like 35-hour weeks, and I'd come home to this motherfucker chilling on his iPad, not in school, working 10 hours a week at a grocery store. Like, I was financially supporting the both of us because that's what I thought I had to do. Because I was groomed and manipulated into thinking that. Go to part 2.
Let's start with the basics. This is both illegal and morally disgusting. At 16, a young girl doesn't have the maturity to grasp the gravity of what she's facing. And here we have the loser in his 20s, the Chad, a man who brings absolutely nothing to the table but knows how to manipulate her with lines like, no one will love you like I do. Of course, the power dynamic is set up for him to take advantage while she believes she's in a mature relationship. There's no maturity here, just a failed adult exploiting someone naive. And here's the real core of the issue: the absence of a present father. When a 16-year-old girl thinks dating a loser in his 20s is an achievement, it's clear something went wrong at home. A present, strong father doesn't just teach his daughter to recognize her worth, but also to spot these chads before they enter her life. But since the trend nowadays is to push fathers away, reducing them to nothing more than a paycheck without the ability to be involved or guide their children, scenarios like this end up happening in women's lives.
There's nobody more delusional than a man that you don't want, but wants you real bad. Delusional. He will make up in his mind that it's something more than what it is, and you have been blatantly honest the whole.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll look at the case of a woman who refuses to accept that a man left her, showing up at his house to wait for him in an attempt to win him back. This man ends up threatening her with the police. Brothers, this is to show you how far they are willing to go for a chat. Your support is super important to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming to hit 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video. Now, let's get started.
He's not looking at you. He's not one of those guys. He's just curious as to why you have a phone and a camera on your grocery cart and a microphone around your collar.
That's what you guys are, just a couple of meat bags.
Ladies, y'all know I support y'all, but this does not help because there are real women out there that go through harassment just walking through public, just going to the grocery store, just going down the sidewalk. And they struggle with this, not every now and then, but on a daily basis. But it's stuff like this that is counterproductive to the mission of trying to get guys to realize what they're doing is not okay. There's nothing wrong what this guy did. Nothing. Nothing. So we got to stop doing this. Just stop.
I agree with this man. If I see someone pointing a camera at me, clearly recording, I'm obviously going to look. But women, with their delusional egos, think that any man walking behind them must be lusting after or harassing them, when most of the time we're just heading in the same direction. Filming an older man who wasn't even looking at you, and then trying to portray him as a harasser isn't just unfair, it's cruel. How low can you stoop to seek attention on social media at the expense of someone who wasn't even interacting with you? The man simply reacted to seeing the camera, which is completely normal because, let's be honest, who wouldn't feel uncomfortable being recorded for no reason? This kind of behavior reflects insecurities and a desperate need for validation, no matter who gets hurt in the process. The problem with these actions is that they discredit the real experiences of women who face harassment every day.
Ghosted by a man that I really liked, only for him to tell me 9 months later that he was actually really in love.
One time, I told a guy that I loved him. He did not respond. He silently removed himself from the situation. About 24 hours of no contact, text calls, acknowledgments in the hallways. Yeah, we lived together. Nothing. 24 hours later, myself and his entire family are sitting down, about to have Sunday dinner. He comes home from his serving shift. He worked at a restaurant, completely shit-faced, with some random girl in tow. Takes her downstairs and fucks her loud enough for everybody to hear. Shortly thereafter, he got a long-term girlfriend. Not the rando he brought home, some other girl. I know, what a catch. And we just never talked about it. Eventually, I stopped associating with him and his family and fled the state. I want to say like 4 or 5 years later, he broke up with the girlfriend he got right after I told him I loved him. He calls me on the phone.
4 or 5 years later.
Now, I don't remember a lot from that conversation because I was fucking fuming. He said something along the lines of... Viola Davis. It's you. Kels, it's you. It's always been you.
Welcome to the friend zone. The guy wasn't interested, and you ended up falling for him on your own. Something women often forget is that men silently discard them. The gentleman didn't say anything to avoid rejecting you in a cruel way. He simply did to you what many women do to simps in the friend zone. Introduced you to his new partner, even if it broke your heart. Ah, the classic Chad move. He kept you in the friend zone, enjoying the comfort of your attention while you clung to the hope that one day he'd see you as something more. But instead of facing reality, you stayed, watching him bring other women home. Women who didn't need to confess anything because he was already interested in them from the start. That's not love. That's begging for attention from someone who never valued you. From a male perspective, he knows you'll always be available, which is why he'll never make the effort to respect or commit to you. Stop investing in a man who only sees you as an emotional backup. That's the reality. He didn't.
Watch this. Yeah. After I told her I'm showing up here, and she just keeps showing up here anyway. Like, I'm gonna call the police on her. Hey, what you doing here, bruh? What I tell you about showing up to my house?
I'm trying to talk to you. You not answering.
We ain't got nothing to talk about. We don't have nothing to talk about. We broke up 3 months ago. Why are you still popping up at my house?
We didn't even finish having the conversation.
We don't have nothing to talk about.
Yes,
we don't have nothing to talk about. Like, I'm gonna end up calling the police on you real talk because you keep popping up at the house. Cool.
I think you need to
like you look crazy right now.
About this.
We don't talk about.
We don't talk about. Then just not be
we
here
are nothing. I'm never gonna spend any type of time with you. We're nothing.
Talk to me right
no,
now.
you crazy.
I'm not gonna leave until
you crazy.
No,
you about to go. You gotta get,
no.
You don't stay here. This is my house.
Why are you trying to?
We're not together no more.
Why? That's what I'm trying
to
It don't
matter why. It don't matter. It don't matter why.
It does matter.
No, it does not matter. You have no business
matters.
at my house.
Why are
it's like your third time this
Why
month.
Can't we just...
I show up here.
I'm gonna keep coming.
I'm about to
back
call the police and real talk.
Like
you think I'm playing with you?
I want to be with you.
I don't care. We're not gonna be together. We're done. We're done.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not about to leave.
But it's been 3 months. 3 months of no relationship, no communication, and no effort on his part to even try to get back with her. What does she want him to say? I mean, sometimes silence is the loudest answer. If someone hasn't spoke to you in 3 months, tried to make an effort with you in 3 months, that's your closure.
No, you is about to leave.
No,
you is about to leave because you can't stay here.
Oh, do all this stuff you want
it don't matter. We're done. That's old. That's old. No. That's old. Yeah, like we done. That ain't we done. We never getting back together.
Yeah, we are.
This is exactly why we broke up because you think it's cool to just pop up at my house. It's okay and it's funny to you and it's a real bum.
This is not funny to me. Like this is
you think it's not getting together.
Leaving until you tell
We're
me
not getting back together.
Stop it. Get some help.
This is why I say men discard silently. I'd say this guy is a Chad. Look at how obsessed she is with him. But I don't blame him because she's already shown up 3 times. The first time, he was probably polite when telling her. The second time, more direct. But now, on the third, he'll have to be harsh for her to understand. Woman, this man doesn't want you. Pick up your dignity and leave. Silence is the clearest and most direct response. She wants to talk, but it's not to find closure, it's to manipulate. She knows the relationship is over, but can't handle losing control. She begs, insists, and shows up uninvited, showing a complete lack of dignity. This isn't love. It's obsession disguised as need. A man who values his peace doesn't stick around explaining. He makes it clear with his absence and outright rejection. What makes this even more pathetic is how she emotionally drags herself for someone who doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. If this were a man doing the same thing, he'd already be in handcuffs in the back of a patrol car. Yet here she is, standing on this man's porch, acting as if she has some kind of claim over him. Even worse, she's unfazed by threats of the police because she knows she's playing a system that allows her to harass him without immediate consequences. The double standard is glaring. If he were the one refusing to accept no, he'd be in jail before the argument was even over.
I'm gonna come over here every day.
No, you're not.
You're
about to go to jail. You're gonna go to jail because I got you on camera.
I'm not if you invite me here.
I invite you here. What is wrong with you? I don't want to be with you. We're
That's
done.
What's wrong with me?
You're not invited over here. You're not invited ever to come over here ever again. We're not in a relationship.
Why?
We've been broken up for 3
Why
months.
though?
Why do you think it's okay to come to my house when we're not in a relationship?
Because you haven't given me any closure on the situation.
I don't care about your closure. It's done. You don't pop up at my house.
I'm not really wasting all our time.
No, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You were going to go to jail. That's what's going to happen to you. Oh, I'm dead serious.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. If I haven't been serious about anything else, I'm serious about that. You're going to go to jail because you can't stay here.
I'm not leaving.
You gotta, no, you are leaving. Like, real talk, you gotta go. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. It's done. I did that. We're done. It is what it is. Move on.
Move on.
You sound like a crazy scorned woman right now. You need to find some help. You need to seek help.
When it gets to the point where somebody is wanting you off their property so bad that they threaten you to call the police just to remove you, I'm gonna need you to get off that man's porch. It don't matter how much she's begging, pleading. This man ain't about to change his mind. He's only making things worse.
Go talk to somebody about this. You have a serious problem. No,
help me?
I don't want to have nothing to do with you. You can't even help yourself. You're pathetic. I don't want nothing to do with you. Go
You're
home.
pathetic. Look
Get
what
out of
you
here.
did to me. You
Get
just
out of here.
ignored somebody for
I don't
months,
care.
though.
Go. Get out of here.
No.
And you still just sitting here. You look ridiculous. I'm about to call the police on you. Real talk.
Don't care. Like, I will sit on this porch all night.
Guess what? You're going to sit on this porch in handcuffs, on your way out in handcuffs.
I'm not worried.
That's the only way you about to leave up out of here.
Tell them why.
Yeah. I'm about to call them right now.
I'm not worried about it. You need to come talk to me.
No,
I missed you,
no,
literally.
Man, no. We done.
Like, I'm just trying
we
to
ain't we don't have nothing else to talk about.
I don't understand what the problem is. Like, why don't you want to be with me? Like,
because you look ridiculous. You're crazy.
You want me to be crazy?
You are crazy. I don't want you. I can't want you to be something you already are. What car you got? And get up off my property.
I thought we were falling in love. Like, you don't just ghost somebody after the stuff we was talking about.
You got to be on something. For you to sit here and say that you think that we're in love and we haven't been together in 3 months.
Whew. So he calls her crazy because she's acting a little crazy. Do you think she knows why he broke up with her? And just in denial, just can't face it? He's telling her over and over, I don't want to be with you. Honey, that's all the closure you need. What's the saying? Don't ever let somebody tell you twice that they don't want to be with you. If they made it clear, it's done. Whether you got the answers that you needed or you didn't, it's over. So you need to pick yourself up and leave. Begging for someone to stay with you when they're not willing, it ain't worth it. You need to protect your peace and know when it's time to move on. If you're ever in a situation like this, remember that your worth is not tied to someone else's decision to stay with you or leave. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is let go, even when it's difficult. I would love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe, follow. You know what to do. Let's go.
Hell to the no, no. Hell no.
Brothers, avoid chaos in your lives. This woman is unstable. This is the 3rd time she's shown up uninvited. She keeps pushing the same narrative about getting him back and wanting closure. Woman, he already gave you your closure. Accept that you can't hold on to this man. This woman not only shows up uninvited, but insists they're still in love. In love? Seriously? The man hasn't spoken to you in 3 months. This isn't love. It's a fantasy in your head. And the worst part is that she keeps begging, pleading for someone who clearly doesn't want anything to do with her. This isn't just a lack of dignity. It's a harsh lesson about what happens when someone can't accept rejection. What more do you need than hearing, "I don't want to be with you," over and over? This type of woman, who becomes obsessed and can't take no for an answer, brings guaranteed chaos to your life. From the beginning, her behavior is full of red flags. Brothers, remember, what starts as innocent persistence can escalate into chaos that destroys your peace of mind and personal life. This isn't romantic. It's toxic and often dangerous. A man must protect himself by being careful about who he allows into his life.
If you really pay attention, you will realize that men tell on themselves all the time. This is how I found out I was getting cheated on. I was in a long distance relationship with this guy who was my boyfriend at the time, definitely an ex now. And we planned to go on a cruise together, so we flew out separately from our cities. But he wound up missing his flight because he bleached his hair to a crisp, like it was breaking off. Luckily, he made his flight the next day and we were able to board our cruise. The cruise was so much fun. I was so sad when the cruise was over, but of course, all good things come to an end, and we had to get back to reality and fly back home to our respective states. I spent my entire flight looking through all of our pictures we took together, and I was just really sad to be going home without him. As we were descending, I got a shitload of texts from him, and I instantly knew that something was off. He was basically freaking out, saying that some crazy girl was going to DM me and make all these claims, but none of them are true. And at this point, Instagram was that girl, and I was getting hundreds of messages a day story. My Wi-Fi kept on cutting in and out while I was searching for this DM, but I finally found it. The girl was basically saying that she had been seeing my ex and that they were just together, and as a matter of fact, he asked her to pick him up from the airport that evening. She said that she turned him down because she found out about me and that he had a girlfriend. But I was really skeptical of her claims because my ex had a tendency to post everything like as he was doing it, so everybody knew his business. Of course, I DM'd her back asking for proof, and she sent me screenshots and a bunch of other things, but of course I was still in denial because I really wanted to believe my man over a stranger. My ex was so embarrassed that he fried his hair. That was the one thing that he did not put on social media. Like, he didn't want anybody to know. So when she mentioned that she was with him the day he missed his flight, helping him with his hair and putting coconut oil in it, I knew that she was telling the truth. This man came in the morning of our cruise reeking like coconut oil, and I even asked him, like, how do you know about coconut oil? And he was like, oh, my barber told me to use it. And I swear to you, I would have never seen that DM if he did not tell me about it. He was trying to get ahead of the game, but instead he played himself in the worst way possible. But there is so much more to the story, so let me know if you want a part 2. Moral of the story is, when men tell on themselves, believe them the first time.
The first thing to understand is that he told you what could happen. Second, this was the first time you were meeting in person, which means he didn't have a serious commitment to you yet. Just as you could have gone to meet him, you could have stayed home, so there's no guarantee you weren't talking to anyone else either. Let's get one thing clear. Women always have options. They're always talking to more than one person, evaluating who aligns best with what they want before committing to someone. Meanwhile, this man was emotionally invested, ready to make the effort to fly, plan, and be with you. But of course, what happens next? The obsessed ex shows up, not because she's telling the truth, but because she can't handle the fact that he's moved on with someone else. And instead of trusting him, you choose to give weight to the words of a complete stranger. What's clear here is that this man was honest from the beginning. Before that trip, there was no real commitment. You were building something together. After the trip, you became a couple. Now, this ex, who doesn't know how to let go, seizes any opportunity to plant doubt in your mind. Why? Because she knows it's the only way to try to win him back. You have two options: stay with him, enjoy your relationship, and forget about things that happened before your time, or leave him, and he'll either move on to someone else or go back to his ex, who won't care that he was with you. Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll dive into the story of a classic chat. A crazy woman ended up slandering him everywhere. We'll see how this woman conducted an in-depth investigation of this man, how she contacted his wife, exposed him to everyone, all simply because she wasn't as special to him as she thought she was. Your support means the world to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video. Now, let's get started.
Guys, I've been unintentionally gatekeeping this story, and now it's time. About a month ago, I went on a first date with a man I had met on Hinge. We'd been talking for like almost a month before we went on this first date. On our first date, he told me he had been separated for 2 years and divorced for 2 months, which felt a little quick to me. Yeah. I shared with him that I'd been recently love bombed and that I was like really trying to slow things down on the dating front and take things really slow because I learned my lesson. Right after the first date, next day, he immediately asked me on a second date. I'm like, no, don't want to move too quickly. Ask me on a date for the next day. No, don't want to move too quickly. Tuesday comes around. He's like, do you want to go on a date tomorrow? Meaning Wednesday. I was like, look at you planning in advance. Let's do it. I said yes to Wednesday. I had plans that Tuesday night to go over to a friend's house for a going away party. And he texted me and was like, hey, I can't wait until tomorrow to see you. Do you want to just grab quick drinks before your going away party? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So we go out to drinks at this awesome spot in DC. And while we're sitting there, we're having normal conversation. And I'm joking about the fact that he is 36 because I always find myself dating people in the age range 34 to 36. It's just like my sweet spot. And he's like, well, actually, I have to tell you something. I'm actually 39. My age is wrong on my Hinge. And I was like, do you think I'm stupid? If you got divorced 2 months ago and that's when you made your Hinge, you were lying. If you made it back when you were 36, you were cheating on your wife. So what? Also, I'm pretty sure your Hinge updates every year, like as you get older. Like, I'm pretty sure it changes by itself. So I was like, what the fuck? That's so weird of you. I literally demanded he show me his physical ID because I thought that was so weird. And I was really creeped out. And honestly, I should have been out then. So I see his ID. He's actually 39. And I say to him, this is so weird of you. There's no good time when you're dating girls on Hinge to tell them that you're not the age you put on your profile. Like, you could tell them in that first message, or you could tell them like when on your wedding day, and no matter what, that's fucking weird of you. Like, that's never gonna be a normal conversation that girls are just okay with. Like, just make it your regular age. Obviously, you're trying to show up on Hinge for like young women who you can whatever. Anyway, so we finish drinks, we kiss, it's a good time. He goes home. I go to my friend's going away party. And I pose a question to the group. I'm like, hey, he lied to me about his age. It feels kind of sus. What does everyone think? My best friend, who was right, is like, get out of that situation. That is freaky, girl. But all my other friends at the party were kind of like, oh, you're just collecting data. Like, that's a first data point. Like, yes, that's concerning, but why don't you collect more data and see how you feel about the guy? Because at the time, I really liked him. We had great chemistry. He was super attractive. Like, we just vibed. But also, like, maybe part of that vibe and part of why that was exciting is because I could sense like something was off, or like we had that chemistry because like there was that excitement and spark. But like a lot of the time, like good, healthy relationships start like more of a slow burn, or like with a friendship. Like, I should have known that that spark was indicative of like, there's something wrong here. So now it's Wednesday. It's time for our pre-planned date. And the first 2 dates he had come into DC for me. He lives in Maryland. So I said, hey, I'd be happy to come out to Maryland for you. I feel badly that you're always coming to DC. And he was like, well, you don't have a car. And I was like, I have a Metro card. And have you ever heard of that Uber? Or do 36-year-olds not know about Uber? He was like, oh, I have a surprise for you. Be ready at 7.
Oh my God! Wow!
Mystery, absence, and uncertainty will always be your best allies. The greater a woman's interest in you, the greater the discount. This man understands it perfectly. He knows that timing is key and that keeping attraction high means avoiding any hint of the friend zone. She's clearly interested, but her internal dilemma is evident. She's hesitant to give in too quickly because she doesn't want to repeat past mistakes, as she made clear when she said she's been love-bombed before. However, the desire and passion she feels for him throw her off balance. She knows there's something about him that draws her in, even as she tries to rationalize things. He, on the other hand, masters the game effortlessly. He moves quickly, not out of desperation, but because he understands that the initial spark must be seized. He knows that a woman who feels that kind of chemistry and intense desire will be more inclined to set aside her rules and doubts. Because in the end, it's not just about what you say, but about how you make her feel. And as I always say, the more a woman likes you, the bigger the discount. So, let's keep going.
Me, having watched every fucking rom-com, was like, this is so cute and romantic. I'm so excited. Dumb, dumb, dumb. So he comes, he picks me up in his car. I'm like, wow, this is like a real date. He's picking me up, he's driving me to the place, and it's all a surprise. I don't even know where we're going. He takes me to this restaurant in DC called Mercy Me. Food was incredible. And I'm like, thank you so much for dinner. Like, was this a surprise? And he's like, no, I have one more surprise. This man proceeds to say, oh, I have to work in Arlington tomorrow. So I decided to spend the night in DC so I don't have to schlep all the way from Maryland to Arlington for work at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Spending the night in DC, got a hotel room. But what he didn't do was ask me to stay over with him. Like, he's that good. Like, he didn't ever explicitly ask that. He made me think it was my decision. So dinner ends, we like go to a bar, we grab a couple of drinks. I'm not even drinking. I'm literally like dead sober and I made these decisions. But we walk out of the restaurant, he's like, do you want me to drive you home or do you want to come up to my hotel room? And I was like, I could use a hotel room tour. I go, hotel room tour, one thing leads to another. Take that as you will. Probably wasn't my best call. Anyway, I wake up in the morning at my own house. I'm on a high. I'm like, last night was so amazing. He's texting me. I'm like, we're getting married. But then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking really hard about it. And where he lives in Maryland is like 30 minutes from me. And Arlington is like 20 minutes from me. And I don't understand logically why someone would get a hotel in the city to not have to drive an extra 20 minutes in the morning. something's not adding up. My spidey senses, something was wrong. My gut, women's intuition, something was off. I start thinking, I offered to come to his. He lives in his own house. I, live in a house with 3 roommates. The only reason I wouldn't want someone to come to my house would be if I was still living with my wife. So that activates the crazy in me. And I go to the internet and I pay for a background check, $25. Highly recommend doing that. Honestly, do it before your first dates. I should have done it way, way back. And I find every single thing about this man, right? Like his entire family, every address he's lived in since his college dorm, every traffic citation he's ever gotten, every piece of dirt on this man. And you know what isn't there? Divorce papers. So I start freaking out. I'm like, why are there no divorce papers? Could they be sealed? Like, are divorce papers even public record? I've never been divorced. I call the Maryland County court system and I ask them, hi, do you have any divorce records under his name and his wife's maiden name? They don't have any. I say, can you tell me if there's a sealed record under either of their names? They say, yes, we can tell you if there's a record, but we can't tell you what's in it. I said, awesome. Do you have records under either of these names? No records in the state of Maryland. I contact my family friend who's a lawyer. I say, hey, do you have to get divorced in the state where you're living? And they said, yeah, you have to get divorced in the state where either you or your partner is living. And I had both their names on the lease of their home address from my background check. I knew they both lived in the state of Maryland since 2012. If they had gotten a divorce, it would be in the Maryland court system. So I'm realizing this man is married. So what do? I go on Facebook and I post in the Are We Dating the Same Guy DC Facebook group. I say, hey, this is Danny. And I include a picture of him. I say, he lied about me to his age. Something feels sus. I tell the whole hotel story and ask anyone if they know anything. Within an hour, my post is blown up. Hundreds of women commenting how sus the hotel thing is and that it's happened to them before. He's definitely married and cheating. A couple hours later, a comment comes in. Hi, I'm the wife. Call me. I'm so sorry to do this, but I have to do a part 2. Come to part 2 to find out what the wife says.
Oh, hell no!
Classic chat. A man who brings nothing material to the table, but knows exactly how to put a woman on an emotional roller coaster. This guy has mastered the art of sparking genuine interest, skillfully wielding mystery, attraction, and seduction so effectively that after just 3 dates, he ends up taking the treasure. Just like it happened with this woman in that hotel room she described as incredible. She feels the passion, the desire, and, most importantly, the uncertainty he carefully planted from the beginning, leading her to give herself completely. The man didn't ask for anything explicitly. He simply let things flow, making her believe the decision was entirely hers. And that, gentlemen, is how you play the game right. Something I must mention is that at the beginning of the video, this woman posted a photo of this man, also in a Facebook group where women claim to be dating the same guy. This not only borders on defamation, but also highlights how dangerous these spaces are becoming. Insecure women like her, who see red flags everywhere and decide to create chaos, sometimes lying, sometimes exaggerating, just to validate their own insecurities. But all of this happened after she slept with him, not before. Now, let's see what the wife had to say. But first, let's check which site she used to dig up this man's background.
Hi guys, good morning. I wanted to come on here and say thank you so much for all the love and support. I really started this page to talk about dating, mental health, and women's issues, and I'm so glad to see us uplifting and supporting one another in the comments. That said, for the sake of transparency, I did want to let you guys know I am going to private part 2 for the time being for my safety and the safety of his wife. I will be re-uploading a part 2 with a little bit less detail, so please be patient with me. In the meantime, I'm going to answer the main questions I got, which were the resources I used to find out this information. The first resource I used was the background check website. I used Truth Finder. It's a $25 per month subscription, but I think you can do unlimited background checks. I know that's a little bit of a steep price, but I'm willing to pay that for my safety moving forward after this experience. The second resource I learned about after posting in the Facebook group, and it would have saved me a lot of time, and that's Maryland Case Search. That's a website online where you can put in a case number or you can put in any names and it'll show you any like pending ongoing cases. It'll tell you like if it's been closed or if it's still open. And it includes things like divorce. So if you're looking to see if someone's been divorced in the state of Maryland, Maryland Case Search is the way to go. And I'm sure that they have that for other states as well. I want to say, like, I am a young girl. I'm still learning. This was my first experience like this in dating. I can tell you I have for real learned my lesson this time. So thank you for the people who are being supportive. And I'll be re-uploading part two when I can. Thanks, guys.
Damn!
This type of behavior is a clear danger to men. Here you have a woman who, of her own free will, chose to go out with this man. No one forced her, no one manipulated her. In fact, he even gave her his ID and told her his real age. She chose to go to his apartment, had a great time, and they were simply dating. He owes her nothing about his personal life. These are we dating the same guy? Groups have become weapons of mass destruction for men's reputations, where any accusation, no matter how absurd, becomes a truth to validate collective insecurities. This is a perfect example of how a woman's own decisions can turn into an attack on a man who never even intended to hurt her. She investigated, dug around, searched, and even paid to find something to confirm her doubts. But all of this happened after she freely chose to move forward. She made her own decisions, and now she wants to justify her discomfort by blaming him. Men, be cautious of women like this.
Baby, please, 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 don't prove I'm right.
So I pick up the phone, and of course, the first thing I say is, I'm so sorry I'm sleeping with your husband. If you're new here, click on my profile, check out part 1. I'm telling the story of how I found out I was dating a married man. So at this point, I've called the wife after she commented on my Facebook post saying, hey, I'm the wife, call me. And she's like, no sweat off my back. I'm like, what? And she proceeds to tell me the craziest story I've ever heard in my entire life. Here's the thing now. This is her story of her experience with that man. And I recognize that's not necessarily my story to tell, so I'm going to be very conscientious of the details I choose to include, and I would ask that you please respect that. She goes on to tell me that he's cheated on her hundreds of times with at least 20 different women. They still live in the same house, which is, my intuition was right, but in separate bedrooms, and they're not together. They're technically separated. I asked why they weren't divorced yet, and she said he doesn't want to get divorced. Guess what? She knew about me. She said he told her that he was going on a date with me, and he even recapped it after. Not only that, but he was literally talking shit about me. He told her I was crazy and I talked too much. Arguably true, but screw you. But she also told me in that week that we had gone on our first 2 dates, he had also slept with 3 other women. For the last 8 years, he's been sleeping with one woman in particular, which is actually what his job in Arlington was. And they first started sleeping together when she was 19 years old, and he would sneak into her parents' house to hook up with her. He's incredibly abusive, controlling, manipulative. In all seriousness, I cannot recommend strongly enough to stay away from this man because he is very convincing, and even I was swindled. And let me tell you, in this moment, I felt so naive. I was really hard on myself. I felt really guilty and really dumb. How could I let myself be in that position? And honestly, really scared. Like, I was in a room with this man in private, and now hearing that he has done all of these things, like, I put myself in a really dangerous situation, and I don't want anyone else to put themselves in a situation like that, because in retrospect, that's really, really scary. And I could have gotten really hurt. And I think the other thing about this that I've taken away is that I'm feeling really jaded, because how can I ever go on a date again? I talked to this man for a month. We went on 3 dates. I really felt like I had started to know his character and his intentions. And how can I ever trust someone again after this experience? I've paused all my dating apps. Like, I will not be dating for the foreseeable future. I sent him a long series of explicit voice memos. I tried to post them previously. TikTok took it down, understandably, for bullying, harassment. Yeah, I blocked him on everything. I told him then and there that I was about to post his name all over the internet. Here it is if you need it. Because really my intention with this is to protect other women. As funny as my last story time is, which it is, it's funny, it's a crazy ride. It's also a story about trusting your gut and trusting your intuition. Women's intuition is never wrong, and we will always find out. That's one thing about us women. I reported him to Hinge, and as far as I know, they've shut down his account. Not to say that he couldn't make other profiles or profiles on other apps. And here's my advice to women. Number one, it's not your fault. You did what you could with the information that you had. Number two, trust your gut. If something feels off, it is. Number three, get out at the first red flag. Do not give anyone the benefit of the doubt ever. Remember, you are smart, you have agency, and you can get out of situations like this. Thank you guys for listening, and stay safe out there.
Now you're playing counselor, but let's not forget that you were the one who handed over the treasure after 3 dates because you were crazy about this man. And of course, you liked him precisely because he was mysterious. He didn't manipulate you. He told you he was in the process of divorcing, which is true, but you had only been on 3 dates. He had no obligation to go into detail about his life with you, much less give you explanations. And while you might want to play the victim now, the fact is you willingly chose to go out with him, fully aware that there was no commitment. Let's not forget that, like most women on dating apps, he probably wasn't the only man you were talking to. Or have you conveniently forgotten about your other matches? What really stings is that you found a man you truly liked, but he wasn't the Prince Charming you had idealized. Instead, he was a Chad who played his cards right. He got you caught up in the emotional roller coaster. You couldn't relegate him to the friend zone. And when things didn't turn out the way you wanted, you slandered him, reported him, and even got his dating profile removed. All because he didn't want to continue seeing you after 3 dates. You claim it was for your safety, but let's be honest. You were the one who decided to go to his hotel, fully understanding what that entailed. He didn't force you. You made the decision. And here's the irony. For many women like you, taking responsibility is like kryptonite. This man didn't do anything illegal. He simply dated multiple women, something you yourself do on the apps. So, brothers, beware of women this obsessive. Their chaos knows no bounds, and when they don't get what they want, they will try to destroy you.
So, as you all probably know, I've been talking to a guy, I've been seeing a guy, and it's been almost 3 months. And if you guys know about like the 3-month rule, which I feel like a lot of girls know what I'm talking about, I pretty much told this guy that he's not allowed to ask me out to be his girlfriend for like 3 months since we started like talking / dating. And it's almost that time. And so a week from today, we're going on our first little like trip vacay to Portland. And I have a feeling, I'm not completely sure, but I have a feeling, and my friends have a feeling, that he's gonna ask me out to be his girlfriend on the trip. So I'm saving this in my drafts, and I'm gonna document this the whole way through. Hopefully he doesn't see this. And yeah, stay till the end. Okay, so update, like yesterday we were talking and he was like, oh, are you waiting for me to ask you to be my girlfriend? And I was like, kinda? It was like, I already have the date set in mind. I have the whole like thing planned out. It's just like waiting for the stars to align. Like, I was like trying not to freak out. Anyway. Okay, so just got back from my Portland trip yesterday night, and it happened. I literally had the sixth sense, and I was like, I knew it. And let's just say when it happened, I was like, I don't even know. It's like I knew when it was coming because he even like almost like hinted it in the car. He was like, you have no idea, blah, blah. And I was like, girls have a sixth sense, okay? We know when it's coming. And he was like, yeah, no, you have no idea. It was just so funny how it happened because like he had it all planned out and like it was this close to not working the way he wanted to, and like the night was already like a mess. Story time coming up, by the way, because that was a whole situation. But yeah, anyways, he asked me, I just like put the charm on my other necklace, but he asked me with the heart necklace with our birthstones and name engraved on it. Like,
Genuine interest is non-negotiable. The more interested a woman is, the greater the discount. Look at how this woman plans every detail in her mind. Her sixth sense is nothing more than a reflection of how much this man matters to her. Genuine interest makes everything flow naturally. There's no need to guess or force anything. She simply knows he wants her, and she wants him. When a woman truly likes a man, she doesn't make excuses, doesn't count the time, and even celebrates every little sign of attention because she's living through that emotional roller coaster that only someone who knows how to conquer can create. That, gentlemen, is the true power of seduction when the woman has real interest. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. What do you think about this woman's story? Do you believe the man is at fault? Do you think a man should reveal his entire life story to a woman after just 3 dates? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.